Hi, so today we're going to be applying for standard visitor to the UK, but for business trip, right? So the main category that you need to apply is a standard UK visitor visa. Under the visitor visa, you have a subcategory which is called the business visit. So which is this one. So we're going to go down, scroll down, and click apply. I'm going to select the language as English, click next. Say we are applying from India because I've got one of my subscribers who wanted advice on that. So here I'm going to start a new application and I'm going to select one of my email address. So just bear with me and I'm going to click next. Now this is where they ask you, are you applying on your by yourself or on somebody's behalf? I'm going to say I'm applying for myself, for example, and I'm going to say save and continue. Do you have any other email? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to make a number, say this is a fictitious number. Where do you use this telephone number? I'm going to say outside the UK, and this is a mobile number. Click next. Do you have any other numbers? I'm going to select no, and I can be contacted by telephone call and text messages. I'm going to say save and continue. Then I'm going to give a name, and this is where I'm going to, just assume that there is somebody called Chiara Advani with double I, and I'm going to say save and continue. In addition to the names already provided, are you now or have been known by any other name? If your name has been changed, then you select yes. For example, for women, it happens after the marriage, they take the surname or something. So then you need to say yes. If not, I'm going to select no for simplicity reasons. This is female. She's single, for example. And I'm going to write address, for example, as Worley Street. I'm just making it up, and I'm going to say Mumbai. Sorry, Mumbai, and I'm going to write postal code 40013, and I'm going to select India, and I can write say third floor. And then I'm going to say Republic of India, and I'm going to just assume a date. So the date is, for example, we in 2026, it was issued on 1st of January 2018, and it is a 10-year passport, so it's going to expire, say, on 2027, for example. Save and continue. Do you have a national ID card? If you have got a PAN card, Aadhaar card, select yes. If not, you select no. And then the nationality, so let's say she's Indian, place India, Mumbai, the person was born. I'm going to assume the date of birth is 10th of April, say for example 2005, and save and continue. Do you hold or have held any other nationalities? Well, I'm going to assume no, but if you have, then you need to write it. Now, here's the employment status. So, for example, if you are an employee of a company, this is really important. Then you need to say employed here. But if you are the managing director of the company, right, you own your own business, then I would select self-employed, right? So I'm going to select, for example, that I'm going to say that I'm self-employed because I'm the managing director of the company. For example, sometimes people are the MDs of their own company, so they are self-employed, and I'm going to select save and continue. But in case you are the employee of a particular company and you are going on an official visit, then you will select the first option, save and continue. What is your job title? So I'm going to write managing director. How much do you earn a year? So I'm going to say I earn 30 lakhs, for example, per year. And do you have any other savings? Then you can just write the savings in pound sterling. So go to xe.com or oanda.com and convert the amount that you have. So I'm going to say this guy has a saving of 25 lakhs. I'm going to say save and continue. About the cost of the visit. So how much money do you personally plan to spend for this visit? So I'm going to say INR. It's a 5-day trip. So I'm assuming No, probably 10 days trip. So I'm assuming he has budgeted 6 lakhs for it. And what is the total amount of money do you spend each month, or including the living cost, money given to dependents, rent, and mortgage? Now, this is really important, so I'm going to slow down. So, what you need to do is look at your bank statement and look at your last 6 months and what is your average expenditure. Now, and then you add all of them together, so expenditure of each month, and then divide it by 6 to get an average. So, for example, if you have a incidental expenditure that one month came as really high that you have to give money as a loan to someone else, then I would say you need to specify in a cover letter saying traditionally my average expenditure, for example, I'm going to write here is 75,000 rupees per month, right? That you give to, so if you give to your parents, if you have any children, if you pay rent, whatever it is, and any bills, but your average, so they're going to look at your bank statements, total money that you earn each month and total money that you spend and what is remaining at the end of the year, at the end of the month, for example. Now the important bit is uh, you need to estimate that you normally have a recurring item. For example, rent is fixed, mobile bills, any credit card payments, any loan payments, or anything that you for eating out, you all add them together and then you get a rough average amount of money that you spend, right? That should come here. Will anyone be paying towards the cost of your visit? Here we would say yes, because this includes any cost paid by an employer or a company if you're being given any money. So I'm going to say yes. And now, who is paying towards your cost of visit? Someone I know, my employer, or another company. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say INR, and I'm going to write full 6 lakhs rupees. Why are they paying? So here you will write like this: I am the managing director of my company, say ABC Private Limited. As a director, I am also an employee, and given this visit is strictly for the business trip to source out high pressure, for example, high pressure washing equipment under the permitted activities in PA4. If you don't understand what PA4 is, PA4 is permitted activities which are considered as allowed on business trip. So because this is a business meeting, so I'm going to write here that given this business trip for to source our business equipment through business meetings with suppliers under the permitted activities. Thus, my company is paying in full towards this business trip. So by writing like this, so for example, I'm the managing director of my company, ABC Private Limited. As a director, I'm also an employee. And given this visit is strictly for the business trip to source out or to source, for example, there's no need to outsource high pressure washing equipment through business meetings with suppliers under the permitted activities in PA4. Thus, my company is paying in full towards this business trip. You go next. Will anyone else be paying towards the visit? If you have someone, for example, you've been invited by for example, an overseas client, then you need to select that yes. But if not, I'm going to select say save and continue. Date of visit, so I'm going to say I'm visiting on 10th of February 2026, and I'm going to be back in say 10 days. So I'm going to be back on like this, right? So you write, be specific about it. We may need to speak to you about your application, so say English. Now, here is the main purpose of the visit. So, as I told you, this is a standard visitor visa form, and now you have to select the purpose. People who go for visit to visit family or friends or just for tourism, they select first one, but here this is a business visit. So you select save and continue. And here are the activities. What is the main reason for visit to the UK, attending business meeting, research, business related training, attending lectures, performing sport events, secure funding, take professional linguistic assessment, and these are the other paid engagements. I would say attending business meetings. Save and continue. Will you be paid for any activities while you're in the UK? If your company is paying, say for example, you are going as an employee and they pay you daily allowance, then you need to include that. If you will be only paid your regular salary by a current employer in your native country, then answer no. For example, why this is relevant. So in the first, I selected that I'm self-employed. But if you were to select that I'm employed, right, you are an employee of the company, not as the managing director, but as a manager, like overseas sales manager, for example, and you selected that I'm employed, so you normally get a daily travel allowance. If you selected employed, and you will be getting a daily travel allowance beside your salary, which will be paid to you in your home country in India, then you will select yes. If not, I'm going to say no, right? For the example, because I'm the director, so I will not be paid any allowances. Save and continue. Give the details for the main purpose, and this is really important. The main purpose. So the way you write it is, we are a high pressure washing equipment supplier for industrial cleaning across India. In order to provide cutting edge and top quality equipment, for example, we are we want to source high pressure washing equipment from two companies in the UK, based in, say, London. Then the name of companies are, say for example, ABC Limited. Company registration number, say for company registration number, you need to write the numbers. It's a numerical number, so I will write, say, 1212, something like that. And BDO Limited, company registration number, say 012. I'm just making it up, right? There, they are both specialized exporters of high pressure washing products, and we wish to see demonstration of, if you know a particular kind of machine that you're looking for, then you need to mention the model number. Otherwise, just say of equipment. And if we select, you can just write, because there is limitation equipments, you can just end it here. But just generally the thought is that you will write who you're going to meet, what is the purpose of it, and then you will import it, right? That's what you're trying to do here. So write the purpose here, for example, and then save and continue. Will you be visiting a company or organization in the UK? You must select yes. So, like I told the name, so I'm going to write, say, ABC Limited. This must be UK limited company. Have you been invited? If you've been invited, for example, they sent you an email saying, yes, we would love to have you here in the UK. Could you please come, and we have an appointment on a certain date at certain time with Mr. So and so, then you need to mention as yes. But if you have not been invited and you still want to visit, there is no problem. You can still go, but you need to mention the details. So, what sort of work the organization do? High pressure washing equipment supplier, right? And then you write their phone number. So, I'm going to just make it up, and I'm going to say they are on 123 Bond Street. So, for example, London, and the SW1 1EQ, that's the postcode, for example. And you can save and continue. No thanks. I don't want to save. Will you be visiting any other company? Say yes. So every company that you want to visit, you need to mention that. So I'm going to say BDO Limited. Have you been invited? If you've been invited, then you will need to select yes. But I'm going to say same high pressure washing. I'm going to say 205. I'm going to select, and I'm going to say 123 Street, for example, Forest Gate, and this is London. I'm going to say E71BQ. I'm going to say okay. I'm not saving. Will you be visiting any other companies or organization in the UK? Say no. If you mentioned that you are visiting two companies. Now, people who are financially dependent on you, so they're asking you if you provide financial support, including those who are traveling with you and those who are not traveling with you. Now, for example, you could be a married person and you have children in the family, so you provide for them like their fees or something. It clearly says that you are they're under 18 or above 18, so you could have your parents, you could have a spouse. So if you are someone who's providing, then you need to give the names irrespective of the fact whether they're traveling with you or not. Do not make the mistake of lying here. Please select right yes, so that they know that you have an obligation. Because what happens is, as a genuine visitor, you need to show that you've got ties to the country where you're coming from. So, and there will be something that will compel you to come back to the country, right? So if you are providing financial support, then you need to mention the name. If not, I'm going to say I'm not providing any support, financial support. And I'm going to say give details of your mother. I'm going to say Kiara's mother is Jaya Advani, and I have to make a date of birth. So she was born in 1960, for example. She's Indian national, and she's always had the same nationality. Then I'm going to select father. I'm going to say Amit Advani, and he was born a little bit earlier, this gentleman. So it's April, it is 1954, and he's Indian. And have they always had the same nationality? Say yes. And do you have any family in the UK? The answer is no, because if you've got family in the UK, you must disclose it. Because, and I must warn you against, because this is typical, that it is important that sometimes you disclose it, and it is important sometimes if you don't want to disclose it, and you want, because sometimes people don't have good relations with their own relatives. It happens, but they happen to be in the same country. And if you lied, and if you said no, and there is something later found out, then what can happen is they can deport you for misleading them. But if you haven't got good relations with those people, say I have someone there who lives there, but we are not on talking terms, and I just wanted to mention it for the full disclosure to come across as accurate. And where do they live? Say I don't know, but this is the name of the person. They are distant relatives, but they are they're not like someone that we would like to go and meet. This visit is only for the business purpose. In this example, I'm going to assume that I'm a business owner, I'm the managing director, and I do not have anyone in the UK. This was really important for me to help you understand that how whatever information you're filling in is extremely important, to be honest and accurate when you're filling the form. Go next. Are you traveling as a part of a group? For example, if you are two or three people in a team of the same company, then you select yes. Then you need to mention, for example, sometimes sports people, they're traveling as on a cricket tour or something, then they select yes. Otherwise, I'm going to say I'm going alone. Will you be traveling with any other person? Say no. Do you have an address where you're going to stay in the UK? So, for example, if you have booked Airbnb and you have an address, then you will say yes. But usually on a business visit, you don't have anyone that you know of. You select no, and you select hotel. So, say I intend to stay at, say, Premier Inn Hotel in Stratford, and the address is say E21AQ for say 10 nights, details provided in supporting document. So this is sufficient for you. You need to write the name of the hotel. So go to booking.com. So I'm going to write, say, booking.com estimate provided. So this way they will know exactly where you're staying. Now, have you been to the UK in the past 10 years? Um, you have to select yes if you've been to the UK. If you have not been to the UK, select no. And that is why I'm trying to make this application for somebody who's doing it for the very first time. I'm going to select no. Now, have you traveled to Australia, Canada, New Zealand, US, and these countries before in the last 10 years? If you want to select zero, do that. And I want to tell you why this is really important and why it matters. So they want to know that you are a compliant person and you will travel to the UK and you will come back. One of the ways they try to see your home ties to the country, which means you are a genuine visitor, is that you've done any overseas travel, not just the UK, and you've gone to that country, you've complied with the laws, and then come back in the time, right? So that's why they ask you for the passport copy of each and every page, and they look for the stamps. So please do not make sure whether it's a current passport or the old passport, make sure you select whichever country. But economic area has about 26 countries. You need to find which countries come here. I'm going to say I've traveled once, and they're going to ask which country. So I'm going to say this one. I'm going to say Germany. And what was the purpose? Say I came for example, this reason. It was a business visit, for example, to source high high pressure washing equipment from a trade fair held sorry held in Munich. And then you say, okay, when was the date of the visit? Say I traveled in, say, 2025. And how long was the visit? Say, for example, days. So usually this is a short one. You can say I went for 4 days. And you need to write the trade fair details and supporting documents are also provided as proof of business visit and compliance with German laws. Now, the reason why I've written this is so that the person who's reading, the visitor visa case officer who's reading, he will know that you were asked to provide the reason you went there to trade fair for a trade fair, which was in Munich, to source out a high pressure washing machine equipment. There is no need for you to, that compels you to buy the machine, but the fact that you went there is a brochure, there are some photographs, and then you went on this date, you provide your hotel stay that I went on this date and I came back on this date, or you can show the stamp on your passport, entry date and exit date, which should match the number of days, right? So make sure you look at the stamp days and you look at these dates here and they match, and then you say that you complied. For example, on this visit, you did not go and work, which is not allowed on a Schengen visa. You were just allowed to travel for the business purposes. Okay. So now we select save and continue. Have you been to any other countries in the past 10 years? Now, these what they're asking is other than the countries that we selected before, UK, US, Canada, Australia. Say, for example, you went to Thailand or any other countries. If you traveled, say yes. If you didn't travel, say no. Please do not make the mistake of getting this wrong because this could result in visa refusal. So please make sure you check. Even if you went to Nepal, if Nepal is a separate country, for example, or if you went to Bangladesh or something, please check your passport copies to ensure that you complied. It is quite possible that you could have gone for a family vacation, right? So then you need to write out the reasons. Otherwise, I'm selecting no here. Now, this is another important disclosure. For either UK or any other country, have you ever been refused a visa? If you have been refused, say yes, absolutely. Do not lie here because they will check it. Or any other country, have you been refused? Because they will be able to check it. Please do not assume that just because you got a new passport, they will not do a thorough check. They will go through every record including criminal record. So please make sure you're honest and transparent. And if you have been refused the visa, then you need to upload and give the documentation of that as to why you were refused. That I was refused because I did not have enough funds, or I did not prepare applications because it was refused on the grounds of X, Y, and Z reasons. I have rectified those reasons, and now I have prepared a better application. Right? Therefore, it gives you the context. The fact that you've done the full disclosure, your application becomes challenging, because they will know if the visa was refused for the first time, they will look into the grounds of refusal before they award you the criteria. But if you lied on the form, it is absolutely certain that you will be refused the visa and you will be barred from coming to the UK again. Save and continue. I was so if you selected refusal, then you have to select the reason. Otherwise, I'm going to select my visa was not refused. And have you ever entered illegally, remained in the UK beyond the validity of the visa? For example, you were awarded the visa for 6 months. Did you stay for 6 months and 2 days in a country? So have you breached any of the conditions? Because they will check through your stamps. Have you ever given false information or leave to remain? So the answer is no. Save and continue. Now, do you have any criminal convictions? I would say no. I think it's really important that I explain you this thing. So, have you got any penalty driving offense, for example, disqualification, speeding? Have you got a caution warning out of court penalty? Have you got a civil judgment against you, for example, not payment of debt? Now, this is really important. Businessmen, for example, it is common that sometimes there are some cases going on. There are some, judgments that might be relevant to your business where you've been declared bankrupt or something. If that is the case, you have to select the appropriate criteria. Now, if you select that, I have to caution you, because the chances are that the chances of you getting the visa would be very remote, because they don't want people who have got convictions or who got judgments against them. But if you can explain that I got this judgment against me for non-payment of debt, the circumstances was this was the judgment that was given to me, and I have an reasonable explanation to explain that. I've since then made the full payment in full to the my creditor who I was supposed to pay. Here is the proof of that payment. Here is the bank statement that provides that. Here is the payment that that person has given me written confirmation that he has paid the payment to me in full and there is nothing outstanding. And in the interest of full, transparency, I am disclosing this uh, to the UK visas and immigration, because I want to be transparent and honest about it. If you present a profile in this manner, the chances are they will absolutely see you as a credible person. Because remember, each and every answer that you're putting in and supporting documents such as the cover letter, which is the most important letter that you can present your profile, because you don't get to sit in front of the visa officer who would ask you question. So whatever you're writing and presenting as evidence is going to build your credibility in front of the visa officer. So it's really important that you don't have any of these. It's really important. Okay. War crimes? No, I have not committed any war crimes. Have you been in terrorist activities? Say no. I don't need to. They're self-explanatory. Have you got any extremist views? Now, if you go on YouTube and you've been talking nonsense on YouTube and provoking, um, uh, this is where you will come under. So please make sure that you don't do anything that can jeopardize your visa chances, because the home office uses the latest technology to find out if your social media presence is there. They do a search on you, so please make sure you don't lie. Okay. Are you a person of good character? So have you or a part of employment otherwise undertaken paid or unpaid activities on behalf of non-UK government? So you select no. Have you ever engaged in activities that you're not of a person of good character? No. Is there any behavior that we need to be aware of? Say no. Now, your employment history, have you worked for army, government, intelligence, media? If you're a journalist, even if you worked, you have to declare it. If you've not, if you're a judge, I'm going to select no. Any add further details. Now, this is really important. This is not much, but say the purpose of this visit, as stated above, on standard visitor visa is to source high pressure washing equipment for industrial cleaning. Um, I wish to meet with the company sales team on date X and Y at venue ABC. Um, the business trip is limited to 10 days. Besides the official visit, you can just write if if the equipments are of acceptable quality and standard, I would be placing an order and negotiating contract after business series of business meetings. That's it. You write. Um, say I have. So what you can write is here. This is important. Due to limited space here, I am providing a detailed cover letter that proves that I am a genuine visitor to the UK for business visit purpose and my supporting documentation. Now you've written this thing. If you so basically what you've given is the context, because this goes to the person who's seeing. Then once you've submitted the application, you'll be uploading the documents, which they will go one by one. And once they have, for example, gone through the documentation, they will also look at the cover letter, because I don't think so this is in 1,000 characters sufficient enough space to write to the level of detail that normally make sure that the case officer understands what your application is all about. Some people can take a chance, but business visit visa is not easy. It's highly complex, because they need to make sure that you are a company that's bona fide, you're registered, your registration documents are there, and you're highly liquid, which means that you are a genuine company. You will be able to support the employees' expenses, pay for the trip, and then you will come back. And if you claim that, say, for example, average spend of one cost of one machine is say 30,000 pounds, right? And you intend to source say 10 machines, which will be 300,000 pounds. Then you have to somehow show that my ability as a business owner to place an order for 300,000 pounds is shown from my balance sheet, and this much capital that I have, or the funding from the bank. So it is quite complex, and therefore, a short information like here is not fully sufficient. But just to give the context to the visa case officer, this gives a really good idea. Okay. If you need any further information and documentation, please do reach out to me via email. And that's it. And then you say save and continue. Now you basically go through the entire form. You look at any spelling mistakes. You look at the time, tenure, right? And like one thing I would also do is in the cover letter, you would write about what your company is, where it is the head office, what is the registration number, how many employees do you have, what is the current bank account you have, right? You need to give a picture. So you say, this is the website of my company, this is the email address of my company, this is where it's physically located. Because don't be surprised that they might actually have, um, for example, look, here is a mistake. I made a mistake that I have a saving of this much. I wanted to select INR, so I wanted to select that how much savings I have. I'm going to write I have a savings of say £25,000, not £250,000. So this is how you select. So basically, you know that you check all the information given here. You give some brief info about your company as to what your company, brochure, letterheads, proof that you're the director of the company through registration documents, GST documents, and the incorporation documents, but they have to be relevant. And then you have to also show, for example, that as a director of the company, you have a company business account. So you're providing the 6 month statement because the company is funding you, not you yourself personally funding you. But you have to prove that as a director, you also draw a salary. So you need to show from the company business bank account the salary of certain amount of money that you've claimed that you earn per month is actually hitting each and every month in your bank account. If your salary is not stable, if it is coming once in a month or once in every 2 or 3 months, right, you need to explain that the reason why I have not paid my salary is because of this and this reason. But given the fact that this trip is entirely for the business purposes, my company is highly liquid, my current assets are this much, and this is the bank balance of the bank account right now for the last 6 months, which is sufficient enough to meet business expenses, right? This is how you need to show. So therefore it's really important. Once you've done that, you come down and you continue. Now this is the checklist. So passport travel, so you have to select each and every page of the passport copy. Make sure page 1, page 2, page 3, like that. Then you have to select each and everything here. Now, evidence of funds available to you which are clearly accessible, meaning that 6 lakh rupees, for example, if that is the funds, then you need to have some confirmation that these funds have been made available to you, the company is paying for that. Evidence of support you will receive from your sponsor, including details of what support. For example, who is your sponsor? The sponsor is actually not the overseas organization, it's your own company. So you need to have clarification that being the managing director of the company, I'm using my company funds. Here is the company funds, and I'm the nominee of the bank account. Therefore, these funds are available to me for this and this purposes. So you need to have the signing authority, a proof of that. Get a CA also involved. That would help you. Evidence of relationship between you and sponsor. For example, what proves that you're the managing director or the employee of the company? So, for example, if you incorporated a company and your name is mentioned there, and you have a payroll record, you have a pay slip there in which your name is also mentioned, so that establishes also that you have a relationship with your sponsor, which is the legal entity, the company. Evidence that your sponsor is not and will not breach any immigration laws at the time of your visit. So for example, that your company is there and that you will not breach, you can give a declaration that given this fact that I am a visitor for this and this purposes in the UK, I first make a compliance declaration that the visit is only for strictly for business visit purposes to source out high pressure industrial washing equipments. And I also did a similar travel in Germany as disclosed before for a period of 4 days where I attended an event, and that shows that I have strong ties to my home country, that I will go to the UK, two offices, two companies, visit and then come back, and that proves that I have a strong record of compliance. If you have not traveled abroad, you can say that I make a declaration because I've got obligations to run my companies. I've got, say, X amount of employees. I have to fulfill orders backed by evidence that you have to come back and provide the orders to the other future clients who you intend to sell these machines to. You need to provide that there is a reason for you to come back, and that proves that you will not breach any immigration laws at the time of your visit, which means that you will only undertake permitted activities. If you go and say that I might actually try to sell some of my products which are sourced from Germany in the UK, I am trying to sell them also, your visa will be rejected because promotion of the existing equipments is allowed, but direct selling is not allowed. And then you have to modify the purpose that I have two purposes. One is to source the machines, and second is to also provide demonstration of, or showcase the kind of machines that we have from other countries, which may be relevant to, say, this customer in the UK. Then you have to give the details. Then, after you submit your application, you must provide your documents with the commercial partners. You will have to upload them. Confirmation from your employer confirming the reason of your visit, full nature of the visit, how long, who will be paying expenses. Now, when you read them, this is all self explanatory, but there is a way to show this in a cover letter. It is not easy as much as you I would like you to think that you can do it on your own. Normal traditional visit visas, which is done for tourist visa, is relatively easier. But here, when you have a company involved, it becomes slightly complex because there is a structure that is involved, and you need to make sure that you comply with each and every rule. So this is how you will provide. So it is always advisable to get specialist help. So you click save and continue. You confirm. Here is the declaration that if you stay in the UK without permission, what can happen to you? And you click save and continue. And I'm applicant above 18. Then you look at declaration. Now here is the length of your visa. I would argue if you have never been to the UK, always select 6 months. If you've been to the UK multiple times, then you can select say 2 years or 5 years, but go with 6 months. And now you get the fees. So this is the amount of fees that you have to pay. This is £127. And if you save and continue, then you will get the payment button by Google Pay or whatever online platform that you can pay. Once you've done that, you will get an electronic reference number. Once you get the electronic reference number, you'll be given a web link where you will go and select your appointment at the VFS center, and then you will be asked to upload all the documents prior to the appointment. It is extremely important that you understand that each and every document that you upload is, for example, neatly taken as a picture of. It is not bad in poor, it's not in poor quality. There should be enough resolution. Make sure you compress it, and the numbering of that each and every document. Don't say just bank statements. Say bank statements January, bank statements, for example, December 2025, bank statement November 2025, like this one by one, so that the visa case officer, his life becomes easier. If you got passport copy, old and new passport copy, right? New passport copy, old passport copy. If you got incorporation document, right? Incorporation document of ABC Limited, copies of email exchange with this visiting organization. You provide a proof of visit to the UK for business purposes, exchange of emails, that you provide that also. So you need to give proper referencing, and therefore you need to make sure that anything that you've claimed in the cover letter that you'll be providing is actually provided for. So in totality, when you go save and continue, once you pay the fees, you'll be given a web link, upload the document, submit it, go and attend, and then you just give your fingerprints and they take your photo, and then you get the decision in 2 to 3 weeks by email. Now you get by email your visa. And I hope this video has been of some use to you. If you need me to fill up the application form for you and advise you on that, you can always reach out to me in the DM. And stay tuned for more videos. In case you want to know how to do standard visitor visa form, that is on the right top hand corner. Also, I have provided that in Hindi language for you, so you can look at that. In case you need my advice, you can again contact me. So I hope you have liked the video. Please do subscribe to my channel and follow me for more legal insights. Till next time, take care. Bye.